But I appreciate your conversations. I've joined before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want about 60 seconds to give you my scenario. I
Please do.
understand what you're saying. Had I had the perfect life, I would have wished to be the untouchable person that met their person that was only with one man and had a traditional lifestyle and a family. That was not my experience. So by the time I was 9, I was raped by 3 different people. So my body count would have been too high for
Oh,
you
that
and
doesn't
a lot of
count.
others.
In
So
any
how
form
do
of
we go
force.
about our life as an untouchable when we went through a different experience? Not to say that that was not the only experience, but women who are abused who never get help typically do go through that period of being promiscuous, because if you don't get therapy, you're in that mode. Then once you come out of it and you go into your phase of healing, people still look back and judge you on it, and then you're still untouchable. And then how where are you supposed to go to find a relationship? Because I don't go to bars. I just really
Yeah.
try to not go anywhere because I'm so ashamed.
Well,
So
in
where do we go? Do we just get punished the rest of our lives? I'm
no,
not
in your scenario, around being any form of force, sexual interactions, that has no place in this conversation at all, right? Absolutely none, because that shouldn't be anything. There's nothing about that to be held against you or any woman or man who's gone through this whatsoever, right? So anyone that is knowing of that and seeing it as some sort of marker against another person, they're the problem.
okay. I'm gonna circle back to that, and you can stop me if you want me to, but that's not true, because the pattern of that lifestyle is that we do go into a period of confusion. And then, if you actually are lucky enough to come out of it and go into your spiritual and healing phase, then you can come out of it. But people don't ever let it go. And so that's what I'm saying to you as a man, and for other men in this life to consider, is that if you hear something about a woman, and you hear something from 25 years ago, don't go repeat that shit. Go figure out who she is.
Well, that
I don't go
that's
to bars.
Mm-hmm.
Go
and
to
that
I
that's what
don't go to
I'm
bars,
one
but
moment.
I don't go to
That's what I'm
churches.
indicating. You weren't listening. Anybody judging based on that form of interaction, they are the problem. So if you have an entire community who is holding judgment against a man or a woman who has experienced that, that entire community is the problem, not the individual. Do you understand?
Yes, but how are we supposed
No,
to find
no, hold on.
a
There's no but. Do you
relationship?
understand that though? This is very important that I need you to understand that. You or someone like myself, because we have very similar experience here, are not the problem. You are not the problem. The community is the problem. What happened to you and the result of what had happened to you, and how you had to go about figuring out life after that, all of that is nothing to be held against you. It's not your fault. You didn't cause this. You didn't choose that to happen, irregardless of how it occurred or whether whatever say you had or didn't have in it. It was never your fault. It still is not your fault.
I hear
So
you,
anybody who is
see
holding that
that.
against you, the problem is the community, plain and simple.
Correct. So how are we ever supposed to
You
get
leave the
beyond being
community.
the loose person in
You
the
leave the
community,
community.
the loose person in the community
That's the
who
only way.
only does that because
The person.
they don't have physical touch for not for year after year after year, and they actually do it again, which like perpetuates the same cycle because
Then
they're
they
outcast.
need to go to therapy. They need to go to therapy, and they need to leave that community. Therapy and leaving that community, literally, are the next steps. Therapy and leaving the community is what needs to happen. Because staying in the community is just going to exasperate the problem, and it's going to cause more harm, and it's going to hurt more, and it's going to make the recovery so much more difficult. So you need to leave the community, and then having some form of therapy or counseling is necessary. We can't heal ourselves. Doctors don't perform surgeries on themselves. So the type of wound that you have is not something you can heal by yourself.
Thank you, Cyrus. I am in therapy and I hear
Good.
you. I receive that. I don't have enough money to leave, but I'll just shut it off. Like now, I'm going to drop off the live because that was my
Hmm.
point to be made for others to consider that this conversation goes a little bit broader than just, I want that woman to be pure when I find her. Because there are a
But
lot
this
of
this
women who be
conversation
pure when you find them.
excludes anyone who's gone through SA is excluded from any form of wherever any of this conversation ever goes. It doesn't apply because what happened to you and to individuals such as this was forced upon them. It wasn't a decision that was made. We're talking about decisions that were consciously made, not that are not the result of SA. So whenever you see any future conversations like this, you need to remind yourself, as a survivor, none of what they're saying is going, it applies to me. Because what happened to them, what they've decided to do with themselves, is not the same as what someone else decided to do to me, right? And that's what we need to remember as survivors. What was done to me was done to me. Someone else made the decision to violate my personal space. Someone else made a decision to take advantage of whatever state I was in, whether it be age, drugs, sleepiness, whatever. Someone else made the decision, not you. So please, please, please remember that.